develop monitoring tools, because before you can even find the insect, how do you go and look for it? Do you have to just go there or use traps? So those are the things that I've been trying to do, identify some monitoring tools to help us or to help our growers, identify some of the insects that we'll find. And then eventually I want to also look out for some alternative, ways to manage insects if we find this insect pest on the hemp. And one of the things that myself and David will have been doing in other crop is to use essential oils. So I will try to, evaluate some of these essential oils to see if they can control or reduce, pest infestation in hemp. And I'm doing this in the lab and then in the greenhouse and the field too. So what have I done so far? So far, I've conducted several field work, evaluating several traps, and some of the traps that I have evaluated, I will show them to you now. But my preliminary, observation in 2020 and 2021 is that these three insects are major insects. If we talk about insects that can really cause significant damage, then there are these insects. But then we don't know their population level. So how many do you find in your field to be able to, tell you that, probably I have to go and spray or not? So that is what I intend to do, to establish the economic threshold. An economic threshold is the level of insect that will cause economic damage. So if you have a hemp field, how many of the cotton, bollworm or corn earworm, which most of the survey that Dr. Gonzalez presented showed that most farmers found this insect. So, and another one is the yellow striped armyworm, Spodoptera, which is also a major pest. And then the stink bugs, these stink bugs are mainly the native ones, the green stink bugs, and then brown stink bugs. So, we want to understand all of these insects and then how they behave in the field and then how we can manage them. So far, these are the main insects. So number one is the corn earworm, number two is the yellow striped armyworm, and then the others also follow. But these insects, feed differently on the plants. Some are sucking, some are, chewing. So I want to understand all of those. And when they feed on hemp, what is the resultant effect on the insects? Is it that the cannabinoids or the compounds that we find in hemp, would that reduce their fitness or not? So those are the things that I would like to, know. And also look at their behavior. For instance, if you look at the corn earworm, its damage is mainly not the adult, it's the larva or the larvae that does the damage. And as they are feeding, they leave their poop, everything. So how would that affect the quality of the oil that we get, from those compounds, and particularly even the CBDs and the CBGs. So those are the things that I'll be looking at. And we have equipment ready to be able to test some of these things. So these are the traps that I evaluated. These are common traps. We call it bucket traps. I put some pheromones in it, try to evaluate them, and found that the yellow type, the one on the left, on my left, and is the one that really does well. But the bad thing about that one is that it also can attract some bees. So it is important to balance out whether, to use this, and then find some bees in it or not. So we have to really fine tune this trap by either putting something that will send the bees away and then attract the insect that we want. So those are questions that I'll be answering. And also, as you know, I've said that, most of the insects are switching to hemp, but we don't know which plant they can also switch to. So I did this work in the greenhouse where I gave some of the insects hemp, and then I gave them some other crops to make a choice. And I found out that, in fact, most of the insects that I use, particularly the stink bugs and then harlequin bugs, they chose hemp over other crops. It means that they preferred hemp than other crop, which is very critical for us to really know that definitely they are going to feed on these, these plants. So that's my take-home message is that, yes, of course, bucket traps, yellow bucket traps are doing well, but we need to be careful about pollinators. Greenhouse study is ongoing. And then future work in 2022, this year, what I intend to do is to also continue with the insect and other arthropods, the potential damage of the key pests. What does the trap numbers tell us? If you take a trap in the field and you find 2 insects, what does that tell you? How many population will you find? Those are questions that I'll be answering. And then, as I said, we will be continuing with our essential oil work and other products that are available. So thank you very much. And if you have any question, I'll be willing to also answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akoto-Mensah. And we'll move on to our next speaker, Mr. David Middleton. Mr. Middleton is the Industrial Hemp Outreach Coordinator. He organizes field days at various hemp variety trial sites, workshops, and trainings for hemp growers. David works closely in the growing and research of variety trials for flour, fiber, and grain to find the best genetics for Missouri farmers. Thank you and welcome, David.
Thank you so much, Ms. Karen. Really don't have any slides to share with everybody. I just kind of give you an update of where we're headed this year. With all the variety trials that we have across the state, our goal is to have a field day at each trial spot. Hopefully we have a good crop to show everyone, but last year we hosted 3 different field days at different places. We had one in Sykeston, one in Garden City, and one at Lincoln University. And those will be happening probably in August this year. And so the other places, if we are successful, could stand and have good growing conditions this year, we'll probably have more field days going across the state. One of the new things that we just started is a Facebook page, and that Facebook page is listed as Lincoln University Hemp Institute. If you would please look at that and like it. We are starting every 3 weeks to do a seminar on Wednesdays from 12 to 1. Last week we had Mr. Freeman on and we talked about the different changes in rules and updates. So that's basically where we're headed this year. We'll have more field trials than what we did last year, and bigger field trials, more acreages in the places that we are. So it's going to be an exciting year for the Lincoln University Hemp Institute as we continue to expand across the state and bring more research-based information to our growers.